Many years ago, there lived an old shopkeeper named Karim. He owned a small shop in a quiet village. But he did not only sell things from one place. He often traveled to nearby villages, farms, and markets to sell his goods. He carried different kinds of items that people needed in their daily lives. The old shopkeeper sold strong shoes for farmers who worked in the fields. He carried beautiful little gifts and ornaments that people bought for their loved ones. He sold warm blankets and soft clothes during the cold season. Children loved to see him because he always had sweets, candies, and other toys among his goods. Sometimes he carried fresh fruits from one village to another. On other days, he sold cooking pots, cups, tools, and many other useful things. Wherever he went, people welcomed him because they knew he bought good quality items at fair prices. To help him carry all his goods, Karim had a donkey named Benny. Benny was a strong and loyal donkey, but he was getting old. Every morning, before sunrise, Karim would carefully place the bags and boxes on Benny's back. Then they would begin their long journey. The old shopkeeper usually walked in front while holding his walking stick. He enjoyed traveling and often hummed happy songs as he walked along the roads. Behind him, Benny followed slowly, carrying the heavy load. Although Benny tried his best to keep walking, his legs became tired after many hours. Benny was a hard-working donkey. He never complained during the day because he wanted to help his owner. But inside his heart, he wished his load was lighter and his journeys were shorter. Every evening, when they returned home after selling their goods, Karim counted the money he had earned and smiled happily. He would walk ahead, feeling satisfied with his day's work. But Benny walked behind him slowly. His feet hurt, his back ached, and his body felt exhausted after carrying heavy things from morning until night. As soon as Benny reached his stable, he would lie down on the soft hay and sigh. Oh, my tired legs, he would say. My back feels like it's going to break. Why do I have to carry such heavy loads every day? Benny shared his stable with a wise old cat named Leo. Leo had lived for many years and had seen many things in life. Every night he listened to Benny's complaints. Poor Benny, Leo would say gently, you work very hard, but you must remember that every problem has a right and wrong way to solve it. Benny would listen, but he was usually too tired to think deeply about Leo's advice. One morning, Karim prepared for a special journey. He had brought several bags of salt from a large market and he planned to sell them in another village where salt was needed. He loaded many sacks on Benny's back. The sacks were much heavier than his usual load. Benny lowered his head because of the great weight. Oh dear, he thought, this is the heaviest load I have ever carried. Karim noticed Benny looking tired and said, be strong, old friend. Today we can earn a good amount of money. Many families need salt, and if we sell everything, we will have enough money for many days. The shopkeeper continued walking happily, thinking about his good business, but Benny only thought about the heavy sacks pressing against his back. The sun climbed higher in the sky, the road became hot, and Benny became thirstier with every step. His mouth was dry, and he wished he could stop and rest. After walking for a long time, Benny saw a clear stream beside the road. The water looked fresh and cool. Benny knew that a drink would make him feel better. He hurried towards the stream as quickly as he could. The ground near the water was wet and slippery. Benny bent down to drink. but because of the heavy sack on his back, he lost his balance. Benny fell into the water. Oh no, help me! Benny cried in fear. I cannot move properly with this heavy load. He moved his legs desperately, trying to stand up. After a few moments, something surprising happened. Benny felt that the weight on his back was becoming lighter and lighter. Finally, he managed to climb out of the stream. He shook his body and looked back. The sacks were much lighter. Benny was amazed. He did not know that the salt inside the sacks had dissolved in the water. Amazing, he thought. I have found a wonderful secret. Whenever my load becomes too heavy, I can fall into water and my problem will disappear. That evening, Benny proudly told Liu everything. Today I discovered a magic trick, Benny said happily. I only need to fall into a stream and my load becomes lighter. Liu looked at him seriously. Benny, are you sure this will work every time? Liu asked. Of course, Benny replied. I have found an easy way to avoid hard work. Liu shook his head. Sometimes a solution that works once may create a bigger problem later, he warned. But Benny did not pay attention. He was too excited about his new idea. The next morning, Karim loaded Benny again. This time, he placed large bundles of cloth on his back. The shopkeeper needed to sell them in the next village. Benny, be careful today, Karim said. Yesterday we could not sell anything because of the accident. Today we must work hard or we will lose money. Benny started walking behind Karim. The bundles of cloth were heavy and soon his back began to hurt. Then he remembered this dream. Why should I suffer? Benny thought. I know exactly what to do. When they reached the same stream, Benny walked faster. He pretended to be thirsty and moved closer to the water. Then he deliberately slipped and fell into the stream. There, he thought happily. Soon my load will become light again. He moved around in the water, making sure the cloth bundles became completely wet. But suddenly, then he felt something was wrong. The load was not becoming lighter, it was becoming heavier. The wet cloth absorbed the water and became much heavier than before. The bundles pulled Benny down, and he struggled to keep his head above the water. Oh no, help, help, Benny cried. This time there was real danger. Karim heard Benny's frightened voice and quickly ran back. He reached the stream and carefully pulled the donkey out of the water. The old shopkeeper was worried. Benny, what happened to you today? He asked. Benny lowered his head in shame. He realized that his clever plan had only caused more trouble. The journey home was very difficult. Benny had to carry the heavy, wet bundles all the way back. His back hurt more than ever, and he felt tired and unhappy. When they reached the stable, Benny slowly sat down on the hay. Liu came near him. Now, do you understand? The cat asked kindly. Benny sighed. Yes, Liu. I made a mistake. I wanted an easy way out instead of doing my duty. What helped me once was not always the right answer. Liu smiled. Everyone makes mistakes, Benny. The important thing is to learn from them. From that day on, Benny stopped trying to cheat his way out of work. He still felt tired sometimes, but he carried his loads honestly and patiently. Karim also noticed that Benny was working with a better attitude. He started taking more care of him. He gave him enough water, allowed him to rest during long journeys, and made sure his loads were not too heavy. Benny learned that hard work and patience bring respect, while shortcuts can sometimes lead to bigger difficulties.